It's
It's a little bit less special then.
Yeah. What? Oh. Forgot. I have to lie about what game we're playing on Facebook.
I noticed you picked the hottest man to represent Dune.
So we have a Blue Sky account
Mm-hmm.
now, and earlier this week I wrote I watched Dune Prophecy for the plot, and I posted a picture of him.
Fair enough.
In fact, I'll make a post on Blue Sky, actually. With our Twitch. I've actually really enjoyed being on Blue Sky. Everyone there is like so nice.
It's amazing that social media can actually be tolerable when you get rid of all the bots and the Nazis.
Yeah, mostly the Nazis. Why is everything?
Or the bots operated by Nazis.
Yeah. Their mobile app is very bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, why are 2/3 of your screen taken up by black pixels?
Yeah, it's not a the Blue Sky has some.
It's not designed for tablets.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
They haven't optimized it yet.
I don't think that's even optimization. That's just like not recognizing the platform that you're on, or the hardware platform.
Oh no, it's Jedi Enclave official.
Okay.
Well.
Is it time to go?
Yeah, I think it's time to go.
Okay.
Right at 6 even.
Let's
Wow.
go.
Wow. Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I am Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And we are the hosts of the Jedi Enclave Presents Thee Now. This is Podcasting Podcast, a safe space for nerds and, other people who like Star Wars and Batman and science fiction. And
as long as you're not a Nazi, really.
Yeah. This week musicals. Mm-hmm. If you're into musicals, you'll probably like this episode this week.
One particular musical.
Yeah. Also, I was very distracted because we have a new follower on Blue Sky.
Oh, cool.
The Rogue Jedi, which, by the way, if you're just like, if you just tuned in, you're like, oh my God, they said. So first of all, on Blue Sky, I think including that new guy, we have like 18 followers.
Awesome.
So
love it.
We were just talking about before we went live how much more enjoyable Blue Sky is in general, because there aren't as many Nazis. Mm-hmm. Who would have thought that I would have enjoyed a space without Nazis so much? I didn't know that those existed anymore.
I mean, it's not going to last. I give them maybe 2 years before they're invaded by the bots and the Nazis.
Or someone buys it up and, yeah. Oh, we'll enjoy it.
But for right now.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to our little podcast. This week we're talking about Star Wars news. You and I, not together, but we saw Wicked this week. I saw it on Thursday. I think you just saw it like an hour ago or something.
Showtime was noon, which meant it actually started like 12:30.
Yeah, we went 4:30, I think. Because I'm an elderly man, and I can't see movies late because I fall asleep. Though I will say, Wicked, I probably wouldn't have fallen asleep at all because I was like pretty riveted. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. Also, Dune Prophecy started this week. We're going to talk about that on HBO.
That kind of snuck up on me.
Yep. And then while you're here, go join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Discord, and Blue Sky now.
Yeah.
The Discord links in the description. Also, this is a live stream, so we'll be looking at chats in between different things. So say hi, we'll say hi back, and yeah. Also, we're gonna kind of like power through this because we need to be done at 7 because you and I are gonna play Black Ops 6 Zombies, but we're doing the split screen.
Okay.
I figured out I had to make another Xbox profile just for you.
Okay.
And an Activision account. but I got it done and I tested it and it works. So
All
me,
right,
you, Monty from the Gremlin Squad, and also I think my friend Joe is gonna play with us. So
All right,
that'll be
cool.
a lot of fun. So join us that'll be at 7. We'll be live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And we'll be talking about nerd shit while we play.
And I'm sure there'll be someone who's complaining that we're not playing a Star Wars game.
Yeah, that's the thing though, is that we played Battlefront a couple of times this week, so I don't feel so bad about that.
Okay, yeah. You've hit our quota.
Yeah. So let's get through some of this Star Wars news. First of all, Andor Season 2 had some images that were released via Empire Magazine. And I have this feeling that you're right now scrolling through them to look at them.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a week.
It's not there's nothing like super surprising. We see Ben Mendelsohn as Orson Krennic, and then the actor that plays Bix, Stellan Skarsgård, obviously is returning as Luthen. And they're not like great photos anyway. I assume that they're probably gonna have like higher definition ones.
Hey, look at these characters. They're here.
You want to hear a crazy thing about this show?
Sure.
Andor Season 2. So you know the process of making these shows. They write the script, they like put together the plan and the budget and everything, and then they submit it to Lucasfilm. And then usually what happens is Lucasfilm goes, okay, good, but this, right? And because they've got to get involved, and a lot of the time it's.
I mean, they're the people who pay for all this, so they have a say in how it gets done. So
Tony Gilroy turned in all of this stuff for Lucasfilm, and like the next day, Lucasfilm called him back. They were like, "No notes.
No notes. Just go
Proceed.
ahead. Make it happen."
Yeah, and he was like, "Okay,
all right then. Easiest sale I've ever made."
Yep. He's got, by the way, Tony Gilroy full creative authority over Season 2. And I saw Genevieve, what's her O'Reilly, the woman that plays Mon Mothma.
That sounds right, yeah.
In an interview said that, she said something to the effect of, if Season 1 was set up, then Season 2 is a juggernaut. And that Tony Gilroy took some massive swings in Season 2 that she thinks are going to pay off really well. And that makes me excited because it's one of the reasons that I was a little disappointed on two fronts with Star Wars: The Acolyte. First of which was that the right-wing incel group couldn't keep their fucking mouths shut. But also that they didn't make a better show, right? We mentioned this when we re-ranked our Disney Plus Star Wars things. It's like in the middle. Yeah. It's like a mid show.
It's fine.
It's Acolyte's biggest crime, like actual biggest crime, is that it was mid, right? It wasn't terrible. It was not excellent. And I was upset about that because Acolyte is one of those things where like they took a swing at something that wasn't a part of the Star Wars formula, and like, oh, we're gonna have another planet killing thing, and then they're gonna blow it up, and then
they tried something new,
right? And so what I was afraid was that Lucasfilm was going to take from that, oh, well, we have to stop taking big swings because people don't like that. And it turns out that people were fine with it. It's just that there was a whole group of very loud incels on the internet that had to make sure everyone knew what they thought about black people and gay people. And that's what kind of ruined Acolyte for everybody. So what I'm saying is that I'm really excited because I bet this... my partner and I were talking about Andor earlier, and he was like, yeah, it's kind of for a different audience. It's kind of like for educated people. And I was like, well, first of all, that's a little elitist, but not entirely.
Yeah.
Not entirely
I mean,
inaccurate.
It's Star Wars explicitly for grown-ups.
Right. And we were talking about how that's true because my favorite parts of that show, and most people's favorite parts of that show, are just two guys in a room talking without any explosions or sword fights or gun fights or anything.
But they're acting the hell out of it, and the words they're saying...
It's high drama. It's fucking high-class drama. Yeah, it's really cool. On top of that, some cool fucking explosions and gunfights and stuff. So
the fucking escape with the payroll through the light show, that was fucking gorgeous.
On Aldhani?
Yeah.
Yeah, that show was prime. By the way, they so they're getting into So you might remember in season 1, they're like Mon Mothma's daughter is like getting radicalized by the right wing, and she wants to go be a trad wife somewhere. But also you find out that her marriage with Perrin was arranged. And they're getting into some of that drama, and I would very much love to see Mon Mothma's daughter get radicalized by the Empire, and then Mon Mothma being like, I must kill her.
You are dead to me.
I will sacrifice everything for the rebellion, because I'm pretty sure she's going to have Perrin killed, because he's going to find out, right? Like, he's going to find out what she's doing, and he's going to be like, I'm going to tell Moff so-and-so, and she's going to like put the pillow over her face with a blaster and be like, Mom, where did Dad go? He went to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. You'll never see him again.
You went to the store to get milk and cigarettes. He'll be back in an hour, I'm sure.
Yeah, you wait with bated breath. Nicholas Britell, by the way, is returning as a composer. He's the guy that did the first season. Was also the composer for like Succession, which had like a banger soundtrack. So Lucasfilm has confirmed Star Wars Visions Volume 3 is happening, which is not entirely unexpected. I think the first 2 were like pretty well received. They're doing 9 of those short films, right? 8 different Japanese anime studios. Stop me when you hear one that you've heard of before, because I'm not super in on anime production studios. David Production, Kamikaze Duga.
I think I've heard of them.
Okay.
I don't remember what they've done, but the name sticks out to me.
Anima. Kanema Citrus Company, Polygon Pictures, Production IG, Project Studio Q, and then apparently Trigger and WIT, WIT.
Heard of Trigger.
Okay. I don't know any of these, but that doesn't matter. Like, my ignorance of anime studios doesn't mean that it's not going to be just as good as the first 2 seasons have been.
At this point, I would imagine Lucasfilm has studios like lined up asking to like, hey, can we do a Visions thing? And they can sort of just pick the best of them.
Did you know that we did anime too? Can we please do an anime for Star Wars, please? So yeah, it's kind of early. I don't think we even know of a release date yet.
Nope, just
so it's coming. Yeah, we'll probably see it before we see Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie.
Probably, yeah.
Speaking of, so here's the Star Wars game thing.
Okay.
We were talking earlier about how we're playing zombies, and then how everyone's gonna be pissed off. I didn't realize that Star Wars Outlaws had like
major update. Right?
Yeah, but like a story update. Because I looked through the patch notes and they're just bug fixes, and I didn't see any like, new content. Otherwise, I would have played that probably last night instead of Battlefront. So I didn't want to cancel zombies tonight. I will be probably doing an afternoon stream tomorrow, looking at the new Star Wars Outlaws content, and then probably on Monday night as well. So you can tune in for that. Chris, by the way, says, "May the Force be with you, Daniel." Chris, I hope you're having a good Saturday night. It's pretty all right.
It's pretty good.
I've been having some fun. So I brought up Star Wars Outlaws because it did indeed have a big update, and it turns out that have you played the game at all?
No.
Okay, so there's this was this really annoying feature in this game when you're playing the story mode, which I guess is the whole game. Yeah. It doesn't have multiplayer, but. Where there were like forced stealth components where if you got caught, it would be an auto fail for the mission. And it was clearly to cover up some of the gameplay problems that they had. And a lot of people are like, hold on. Like, are we outlaws or are we outlaws? Because some of us, just like me, just want to go in and shoot fucking everything and just be done with it, because that's just how we are. We're wounded people.
Sure, yeah.
That's how we approach video games. It's how I've always been.
So anyway, I started blasting.
Yes, so there's that one part of me, and then there's the other part of me where sometimes when I'm playing an RPG and the dialogue starts to make me nod off, I start skipping it because I'm like, I know this is a fetch quest. Just fucking get me to the fetch quest, please. So they fixed a bunch of that stuff, a bunch of bug fixes to the game, plus the wild card DLC story pack. So that's got a lot of sabacc in it. I think they were like, you know what people really like in this game?
Sabacc.
People like Sabacc a lot, so let's do some more of that shit,
Mm-hmm.
which is good because it is really good. So there's that, and then let's talk about some rumors real quick.
Okay, I love rumors.
Henry Cavill, apparently,
Yeah, I know that guy.
yeah, is in talks for a role at Star Wars.
Hmm.
This is via, okay, this is where we say this, you take this with a gigantic grain of salt because 50-50, this could be bullshit or it could be real. But it comes from a scooper online, which also makes me like, anytime you're like, oh, this guy's like broke news and he's been like right a lot of the time. And then you go and look at their track record and it's around chance. Like they're like 50-50.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not. But this comes from apparently My Time to Shine Hello. No idea who the fuck that is. They probably have more followers than we do. Says that Cavill has a specific project that they're offering him, and that's the only detail. But if you look at like the shit that's like coming up,
Mm-hmm.
so like Simon Kinberg's got a new trilogy that was just recently announced like 2 weeks ago.
This is the thing. There's always a billion Star Wars projects in development. Half of them are going to be canceled.
Yeah, and like we'll see 1 or 2 movies out of it. Yeah.
So like it's really hard to definitively say that Henry Cavill isn't in talks to do one of the. He could be in Taika Waititi's movie for all we know.
Yeah.
But
he could have made up this rumor himself just to get considered for a role at Lucasfilm.
Didn't that happen with what's his name? The guy who played Ezra in Ahsoka?
I don't know. Well, I don't know.
I remember him making Instagram thirst posts or whatever years and years ago.
Maybe
before.
Well, because the rumor for his casting before it was confirmed to be that guy was the guy that played Aladdin in the Disney live action
That
remake.
must be what I was thinking.
Yeah. But it ended up being a different guy,
Yeah.
which I was really pissed about because I like the guy from Aladdin, but I also like the guy that ended up playing him anyway. So, the other thing too is, so I bring this up every once in a while when shit like this pops up. There is a scene in Game of Thrones, season 8.
I feel like you say there's a scene in Game of Thrones every single week. But,
Yeah.
But go on.
It might actually be in season 7, where Arya Stark, and now that you kind of know the whole story, like you'll probably remember this. I was going to do a quiz, by the way, at the end of our
I would have
Buzz recap.
failed horribly.
Where she's going back home to Winterfell, and on her way home, she runs into a camp of Lannister soldiers, and she hangs out and eats with them, and then leaves. And one of them is Ed Sheeran, and like you're like, oh, Game of Thrones, oh, it's Arya, it's so cool, fucking, and then you're like, Ed Sheeran? Why is Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones? Because he didn't look like a Lannister soldier, he just looked like Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's one of those things where in high fantasy, and there are notable exceptions, don't get me wrong, like Sam Jackson showing up in Star Wars Episode 1, like he was a big deal, right?
But he made it work.
Right.
Like he looked like he belonged there.
In the sequel trilogy, they were pretty careful about picking actors that weren't like household names. They were like newer talents and everything.
With the exception of maybe Adam Driver, because he had been in a couple things.
Yeah,
before.
he was in that one show, I guess, or whatever. Yeah.
But I guess he's been in more things since then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Star Wars. Yeah, I think Star Wars ended up getting him more gigs.
Which he deserves because Adam Driver's fantastic.
So I wonder if we go to watch whatever Star Wars movie this is, and we're just like, it's like in
It's Superman.
Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Yeah.
They have a gag with Henry Cavill, right? And they obviously they make light of it because they call him like the Cavalrine or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're just like, it's Henry Cavill with a weird fucking handlebar mustache, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I won't know until I see it. Maybe he's in Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron.
Maybe.
or something. or maybe Donald Glover's Lando, yeah.
Which is a series now, I think?
No, it's a film.
Okay, it's back to
I think it's back to a film.
Okay.
And he and his
brother
are working. Yeah, I have no fucking clue. Anyway, Henry Cavill.
Doesn't matter because we're probably never going to see it anyway.
Right, and also this could just all be bullshit,
Yeah.
so we have no idea. Let us know in the comments. Do you want to see Henry Cavill in Star Wars?
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Do we have any idea?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, let us know, please. Okay, let's talk.
You want to do Dune or you want to do Wicked?
Let's do Wicked.
Okay.
Yeah. because we can speed run Dune if we end up talking too much about this.
Sure.
Which, by the way, Dune. We'll talk about that when we get there. Okay. Now, let me hold on before we get into this. Wicked, this movie has been in development for more than 20 years. And the fact that it finally happened, I was surprised when they were like, oh no, this shit's coming out next year. And I was like, because it's had an IMDb page with different producers and directors attached to it for literally like more than 20 years.
So it same status as like a Disney Star Wars movie.
Yes. Yeah. It is an obvious choice for a film adaptation.
Yeah.
Because it is so cinematic. The music is very film scory in parts.
It deals with magical material that like you can just imagine lots of special effects and lots of green screen friendly
fantastical
things.
worlds and shit. Right. Mm-hmm. The fact that they finally made this motherfucker, I was like, thank God. And then immediately I was like, oh, I hope it's good and not terrible. Because let me tell you, Joel Schumacher's Phantom of the Opera, it was fine. I actually personally like it, but I'm also cognizant of its flaws. Hugh Jackman's Les Miserables is bad. And I love that show.
Can Hugh Jackman even sing?
He'll have you... Well, he's... Okay, so actually Hugh Jackman isn't necessarily my problem with that movie. Mm-hmm. Because anyone who knows anything about Hugh Jackman knows that he's a stage man. Yeah. You're like a stage singer, actor, yeah. Not like Broadway, but like, the cabarets and burlesques and shit. And he was fine. It's not great. It is not great. Anne Hathaway is in that movie. Not great. But let me tell you, the most offending part of that movie is Russell Crowe. Who is, aside from maybe beating his wife, is a good actor, not a good singer. And you this problem also comes up in some Disney movies, which were not originally Broadway pieces. They were Disney movies that were brought to Broadway to great success.
Sure.
And then, for whatever reason, remade in live action. Even though the Lion King live action remake is CG, because everything is computer generated. And the fact that they call it live action makes me want to... Oh, I better not say that online. Yeah. That'll get us in trouble on YouTube.
And now they're making a fucking prequel to that.
Oh yeah, I know. I saw the poster for that. It looks
so bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. So anyway, I had many historical data points,
concerns
to be like, oh, this could be real bad. Beauty and the Beast, my second favorite Disney movie of all time. Do I love Emma Watson? Yes. Hermione fucking Granger. I love Emma Watson. I think she's precious. She's fucking perfect. Not a very good singer. And that was with a lot of auto-tune, and she still sounded not great, right? That's part of the reason she didn't sound great, is because she sounded like a robot, right? Now, I went to see this movie on Thursday, and I will say unequivocally, without qualification, the best film adaptation of a musical the humankind has ever made. It was fantastic. The runtime's 2 hours and 40 minutes,
which is like as long as the entire Broadway show.
Yeah,
and this is just Act 1.
Yeah, because the show's 2 hours 45 with a 15-minute intermission, I think. That was another thing when I was like, oh, that's a long fucking movie. That's like Last Jedi long, because Last Jedi is like a long movie. I was like, oh man, I did not like. 2 hours 40 minutes went by real fucking fast. I was into it the entire time, and I can't think of anything that stands out to me as bad about this.
I have a few minor quibbles here and there, but I don't think anything that would stand out as bad.
Was really one of your quibbles Michelle Yeoh singing?
I didn't really notice that much.
Because she's not great, but she's not playing...
she's not playing a major role.
And she's not playing a role that I think it's supposed to be really operatic and like it's
Yeah.
not like her like the stuff that she sings in the show isn't very hard.
Yeah.
But then like on the other hand, it's like, okay, Michelle Yeoh isn't a great singer, but it's Michelle Yeoh, Oscar fucking winner Michelle Yeoh, and she is brilliant.
Yeah, like her acting is fantastic.
Let's go through the cast
Okay.
for this. So Cynthia Erivo,
I think.
played Elphaba.
Utterly fantastic.
Okay, they knew what they're doing with this because she is a legit Broadway star, right? And her whole having seen this movie, you cannot beat Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth. It just, there's something about them that's, their talent is like otherworldly. It's like they're aliens from somewhere. I'll be goddamned if Cynthia and Ariana Grande didn't come within striking distance.
Holy shit, Ariana Grande.
Yeah,
like,
right. And we should have known that she would have been good.
Of course she'd be great at singing.
Yes.
Like, I didn't expect her acting to be that good.
Yeah, she went to the Kristen Chenoweth School of Glinda, I think.
So I have to talk about this. Glinda is a really complex character, I guess. Because, like, at her core, she's actually a pretty good person.
Yes.
It's just at the beginning that's buried under so much self-absorption and brattiness that it takes a long time for that good person to come out.
Yep.
So you need an actor who can not only do all that,
stereotypical shit, sure.
Yeah.
But also be complex underneath.
Yes, and convey that character growth believably.
Yeah.
And Ariana Grande nailed it.
She was so good. I couldn't believe it. Jonathan Bailey played Fiyero. I think Ethan Slater was the guy that played Bach Woodsman, the guy that ends up being the Scarecrow.
Mm-hmm.
Bowen Yang from Saturday Night Live, who was one of Glinda's mean girls. The gay Asian one, right?
Yeah.
The
guy who, when Fiyero shows up, he's like, "Will you fuck me? You want to fuck me right now?"
Which, by the way, I love during that sequence, and we'll get to this when we talk through the plot a little bit. Everyone in that library wanted to fuck him.
Yes.
All the men too.
And he looked like he was ready to fuck
there
everybody
were a couple of guys where he's like, maybe. And the guys that maybe didn't want to fuck or either get fucked by him were like, oh, you're too cool. Like, I want to be just like you.
Yeah.
Bowen Yang, who is right now one of the funniest acts on Saturday Night Live, was hysterical in this movie. He was so good.
He's a bit character, very minor character, but he nails every appearance.
Yep. And his weird little glasses and shit. Peter Dinklage, Tyrion Lannister played the
voice of Dr. What's his name, the goat.
The goat, yeah.
We're not saying that like as an acronym for greatest of all time. The character is literally a goat.
Yeah, he's a literal goat who eats plates.
Yes.
Michelle Yeoh played Madame Morrible.
Yep.
And then the great fucking Jeff Goldblum.
The unimitatable Jeff Goldblum.
They found the one role.
Inspired casting choice for him, by the way.
It's funny because, like, I love Jeff Goldblum. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. But, like, a little bit of Jeff Goldblum goes a long way.
Yeah. And he did only a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Like, he was very restrained.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not a great singer, but, like,
So the thing is, he's a musician, though.
Yeah. Like, his singing, the roles were always very carefully controlled and, like, highlighting the best of what he could do.
Yeah.
And not trying to do too much.
Right. I'm surprised they didn't have him sit down and play some jazz piano because it's like his thing. He likes to do like little piano things. And the cast all around was inspired. The reorchestrations for this, because I'm very familiar with the original orchestrations, having listened to the Broadway soundtrack a whole bunch and seeing the show live. I think I saw the show live at the Chicago Theater. Which was a big deal. It was really awesome. It wasn't quite as amazing to me as seeing Phantom of the Opera in New York City at whatever fucking famous theater that was. But it was up there. I
mean, for musical theater, you're just not going to beat New York.
That's true. The music was treated so lovingly that because if you go and watch some other movie musicals, they film score everything up quite a bit, and sometimes details get kind of lost.
Well, they got the original writers of the
Stephen
music.
Schwartz, right,
to do it.
Well, I'm sure they didn't orchestrate it, but they like it is good. And my only problem with this was I saw the movie in a not great theater. So we came home and we found the soundtrack, like the official soundtrack from the film, and played it on our like nice stuff, and it sounds so good. Cinematography in this movie is so good also. And there are a couple of moments in particular where the set pieces are so good. There's some of it that feels sound stagey, like how the original Wizard of Oz was, kind of that like Agatha All Along feel. And then these big, larger than life, like fantastical settings where the CGI, you expect it to look like that. So like it's glitzy and kind of gaudy, but like that's what it is.
The city is literally made out of emeralds.
Yeah,
what do you want?
Right, so it's fine.
That actually, one of my very minor quibbles was actually during the Defying Gravity sequence, because I know that song really well. Every song I'll just go on YouTube and listen to it because it's a great song. The way they do it in the movie, there's breaks in between sections.
Yes,
that
is
you
in
don't
the
expect.
Right, that is in the show, but not in the Broadway musical. That dialogue where there's like they cut that shit out for the like the soundtrack. So a lot of that was in the original. There was one that I can't remember if it was or not. They added a moment of suspense right before the really big like moment in that song, where she goes to fly on her broom but she just falls. And but the suspense was really well done, because when that happens I was like, oh no, she's falling down. Even though I know what the fuck's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen,
right? Yeah.
But like you get this wonderful moment where she looks at her reflection and sees the little
girl. Oh my god, Chris, it was so good.
And then she reaches out and she catches the broom, and then the music kicks in, and everything kicks ass again.
And then I mentioned to you earlier that there's the one thing that I remembered from that show, seeing it on stage, was that during that moment in Defying Gravity, they do a trick on stage to hide the stuff that's suspending her up in the air. And they do it by making her cloak the size of the entire stage. And it is so awe-inspiring that when you see it on stage, you're just like,
holy shit,
it's so big. Like, it's so fucking like out of this world big. And I'm glad they could not have done that so much, because the cloak that Glinda pulls off the rack is like a normal sized cloak.
And then she starts flying, and it's like
it's
three times
bigger
as
and
long.
bigger. I love that they did that. It was so cool.
The costumes in general for this movie were fantastic. Like Glinda has like 10,000 pink outfits, and they're all recognizably different.
Yes, and they're all subtly different shades of pink.
Elphaba has like 80,000 black outfits, and they're all just a little bit different.
She, the Elphaba knows every shade of black there is, and she owns everyone, which I totally get. Okay, let's. Was there like one more thing I thought I was gonna? Oh, the other thing too is I'm a sucker for these kinds of stories. So if you don't know anything about Wicked, it's a prequel, but it's also a retro continuity of the original Wizard of Oz, right? It's not just a prequel.
Act 1 is the prequel. Act 2 happens at the same time
concurrently, right? So you're supposed to see Wicked and then watch the Wizard of Oz in a different light. That's the whole purpose of it, right? And I am a sucker for these stories, and I have been since I was a little kid. When our kindergarten teacher read us a book that was The Three Pigs, but from the wolf's perspective, about how the pigs were all bullies and everything. And like, there's something about that retcon, like, this is what actually happened.
Sort of Rashomon style thing.
Yeah, where I was just kind of like, that's what I've always loved about Wicked, is that I love the fact that they're like, no, we're gonna make the bad guy a good guy, so fuck you. So
spoilers for a 20-year-old musical, I guess.
And we're not going to go scene for scene, because there's I could literally talk about it. In fact, we're going to see, we're hosting family on Thanksgiving. We're going to see if anyone wants to go see it. We don't expect that necessarily they will, and if not, we're going to go over Christmas break and we're going to see it again. So the whole film starts off with at the end of Wizard of Oz, which is that Dorothy Gale has killed the Wicked Witch.
Yep, and everyone celebrates.
Everyone's celebration.
And Glinda the Good Witch shows up in the Munchkin Village, and everyone's celebrating.
And she's so over the top, and she's got her bubble thing with her wand and shit.
Her big pink dress.
Yes.
And her operatic singing.
Yes,
and
just like Christian Chenoweth, the high notes and everything. You can tell that she's uneasy about the celebration, and then one person in the crowd was like, "Wait a second."
Well, she's like, "Okay, I got a lot to do, so you all enjoy your party. I'm gonna go. Bye." And one person's like, "Wait a minute, weren't you friends with the Wicked Witch?"
Yeah, I thought you guys like knew each other. And she was like, "Well,
this one time at band camp."
Yeah, this one time at Shiz.
Yeah,
which is one letter away from a dirty word.
Bad name for a university, but.
So she tells the whole story of how she meets Elphaba, which is she goes to school. Well, first of all, we also learn about Elphaba's beginning as a child. Her mom fucked.
I love the way Glinda Folks phrases this. Like, she had a mother, as most people do.
Right. Yeah.
And her father was the governor of Munchkin Country, and her mother apparently wasn't getting enough
very
dick.
Faithful, yeah.
So this mysterious stranger shows up with this
green elixir,
and they drink and they fuck, and 9 months later,
Elphaba.
Yeah.
And that didn't make her father very happy. No. Because he got cucked by a man with that green potion. But they end up having another child, her sister Nessa, who is paraplegic.
Yes.
And so Galinda goes to Shiz, the wizard school.
Well, it's not. It's like
just the
big University of Oz, I think.
That has a sorcery department.
A musical or magical degree.
Right. And Nessa's going there too. And Elphaba is tagging along to make sure she gets everything she wants, because that's what her father wants, right? And there's this hilarious sequence where Elphaba and Galinda see each other for the first time.
And Galinda's like, "Oh God, you're green."
Yes, and I love how, and this happens a couple of times throughout the film, where Elphaba does not shy away from having everyone stare at her. Where she's just kind of like...
She's like, let me just go down the list. I'm not
seasick. I'm not this.
I don't eat blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell she's done this a billion times.
Oh, she's got it down to like... Yeah, she's got the whole thing rehearsed. And there's a little magical accident where Elphaba uses magic and catches the eye of Madame Morrible, who is like, wait a second.
I wasn't going to teach any magic this semester, but you know what? You just made my class. Let's go.
Now, this is crazy for Galinda because her whole goal is to study with this teacher privately to learn magic.
Yeah.
And by the way, this teacher does not like Galinda.
She is the one person at this entire university that sees through Galinda's
bullshit. Yeah, right.
And is like, I'm not going to play with your self-absorbed donkey manure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Could have been better, but nice. Yeah. So, thus starts an immediate rivalry.
Yes.
And
as exemplified by the wonderful song, What Is This Feeling?
Yes. Yeah. I know. Which, by the way, could be a love song or a I want to have sex with you song.
I've heard the musical Wicked described as almost a love story between the two.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I would definitely buy that. All this also is complicated by the fact that Galinda is accidentally roped into sharing her private suite with Elphaba, which is a big problem. And
they were roommates.
Yes. And they go about school, and somewhere in there they discover that some bad stuff is happening to the sentient animals in Oz.
Well, first Fiero shows up.
Oh, right. Dancing Through Life guy. Yeah. Which, by the way...
Who is like the male version of Glinda.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Deep down, very, very deep down, kind of a good person, buried under so much shallowness and
right. He's the prince of something somewhere, Which, by the way, he's like 35 years old. And I don't have a problem with that so much. Yeah. I always imagine Fiero as like a young, like closer to everyone else's age.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's going back to study something. So bad shit's happening to animals. They're losing their ability to speak.
The magical sentient talking animals.
Yeah. They're losing their reasoning, and some of them are just turning into dumb animals.
Yeah, they give some background at this point about how like there was this great famine in the past, and they blamed the animals, made them literal scapegoats, and
right.
It's honestly a little bit hard to watch that part with what the political climate in the U.S. has been.
Yeah.
Like currently, but also like for the past decade or so.
Yeah. Because there is a very alive and well sense of prejudice in this world against animals. And this is illustrated after one of the goats classes. Someone writes something really rude on one of the board. Animals should be seen and not heard, or whatever. And so Elphaba finds out that like her teacher's in this little club of animals, and they're trying to trying to
figure out what the fuck they do.
Right. And then he disappears from school.
Well, he actually gets arrested, essentially.
Yeah.
Because animals aren't allowed to teach anymore.
Yes. Which is obviously a big problem, because Elphaba... What is this? Hold on a second.
Well, you also skipped over a little bit.
Dr. Dillamond.
Dr. Dillamond, yeah. So there's this part where Fiyero convinces everyone to go
the
out
Oz
to the bar.
Oh, and you know what? This has one of the best scenes of the film too. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
They do a little rave at the Ozdust Ballroom.
Before they go, Glinda is sitting in her room, doing her hair and things with her Mean Girls, and one of the gay Asian one
Bo and Yang
pulls this hat out of her trunk, is like, what is this?
What the fuck? Yeah.
And Glinda's like, oh yeah, my grandma gives me the very worst hats. I would, I try to give that to someone, but I don't hate anyone that much.
And they all three look at each other. Yeah. So she gives it to Elphaba, and she's like,
Elphaba says, hey, you should show up.
This is a really cool hat. Yeah. You should wear it.
And Elphaba doesn't know anything about fashion outside of the fact that it's black. So obviously,
yeah. And she's like, you know what? I like black. Yeah. I'll wear it. Yeah. By the way, Bach is really in love with Galinda, but Galinda's like, no, thank you. But
go ask out that girl in the wheelchair.
She's a master manipulator and knows that he'll do whatever she says. And so that's how everyone ends up at the Ozdust Ballroom together, right? For this big thing.
And Galinda is dancing around having a good time when Michelle Yeoh walks in and says, here's your training wand. You're in my magic seminar.
Yeah.
You should thank Elphaba because she's the one who convinced me to let you in.
Because I fucking hate you. And if it were up to me, we would never do this.
Yeah. And Galinda's like, thank you, but oh shit, I shouldn't have invited Elphaba here, should I?
At least with the hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would be really rude. And Elphaba shows up with the hat.
And
everyone immediately was like, what the fuck are you wearing on your head?
And then she does this weird no music dance.
This is the scene I was talking about. In the original show, this is played off. It's a comedic moment for Glinda. And in the movie, they make it this really brave Elphaba taking this huge risk and just letting her freak flag fly. And it is really touching because she dances by herself in this extraordinarily vulnerable moment where everyone's making fun of her, and then Galinda joins her.
Yeah, Fiyero says she doesn't care what anybody thinks.
Yeah, you give a fuck. Yeah.
No, she does. She just hides it really well.
Right. And so Galinda joins her in the dance, kind of ingratiates her to everyone else, and then they become friends. Yeah. And then Glinda tells her when they get back home, thankfully, you're so lucky to have me. Yes. I'm going to make you into something popular.
Popular.
Yeah.
You're gonna be
and I love how she's like, Elphaba's like, you don't have to do that. And she's like, I know. That's why I'm so kind.
Again, good person underneath all of it, but there's a lot to get through before you get there.
And so she teaches Elphaba how to be pretty, which she didn't need a lot of work anyway.
Her hair.
Yeah, right. And talk to boys. Yeah.
So that's when animals teaching gets outlawed, and
he disappears.
Yep, and their new replacement history teacher wheels in a lion cub in a cage and says, "Hey."
And this guy apparently invented the cage.
Yeah.
I guess he's like, it's a box. It's like it's a little mini prison.
Yeah. Elphaba's like, that's
shitty.
That's really fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use magic to put you all to sleep. Hey, Fiero, let's take this cat out to the woods.
They use the Poppy gag from Wizard of Oz. She casts that spell on Dorothy when they go through the poppy fields. It's the same fucking spell. It's really a really neat thing. So they take this fucking lion cub, Sheen Fiero, and puts it in the back basket of a bike, which is also in the beginning of Wizard of Oz, the one with the fucking dog, sticking out of it and shit. They go out into the woods to set it free or whatever. And it turns out Fiero might want some of that.
Yeah.
Where Elphaba is concerned. And Elphaba's like, no, that would probably be pretty cool too. However, I will never be someone like Glinda, which is someone that's like who you need, right? And
that is who you're actively fucking right now.
Right. Oh yeah, because they're like together after the Oz's party. They kind of like shack up and everything. But I don't think she really cares that much because she's got other shit. She's working on magic, and it's like it's her problem is she can't control her powers, and Michelle Yeoh's like trying to teach her. And
just fucking levitate the coin. It'll be great.
This entire time, Madame Morrible has been writing back to the Wizard of Oz, who is saying,
like, hey, we got this magic chick here. You should probably check her out.
And then she writes another letter. She's like, no, she's the real fucking deal. And then the Wizard of Oz is like, okay,
right, get her over here.
I would very much like to meet her, please. And okay, so first of all, there's this whole gag. The goat can't say Glinda's name correctly, so he calls her Glinda instead of Galinda. And this whole thing. And then while they're on the train platform, she changes her name in solidarity with the goat, and she's just doing it to impress Fiero, and it's this whole thing. And then like Elphaba takes off on the train.
Well, there's a great gag, like Alpha and Glinda are on the platform talking, and Glinda's like, he started thinking, which is really concerning.
Really weird. I'm not used to that. Yeah. So like as the train's pulling away, she's like, come with me. And she's running after. She's like, oh, I wouldn't want to pose. And, oh, I'm totally going. Just jumps on the train. So they go to the Emerald City. There's a brilliant fight. If you filmmakers in mainstream Hollywood, if you ever want to know the correct way to do legacy cameos, this is how you do it.
Yes.
They have this brilliant cameo by Idina Menzel and Kirsten Chenoweth in a different song where they echo their characters. And it's so good because they sing so well.
Yes.
And they're brilliant actors, and you can like Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth are like best friends, and their chemistry is insane, right? And you can't, like, the main characters of this movie are in this scene, and you see right past them, because you can't take your eyes off of them.
There's a great part in the choreography where like Glinda comes up to Kristen Chenoweth, just puts her hand in her face, pushes.
Well, she goes to do the high note, and then she covers her mouth. She's like, no. And then Idina Menzel does the it's the whole thing. That's how you do legacy cameos, right?
It was so, like, it took me a second to recognize what I was seeing, and then I was like, yes, this is so good.
Yeah, it was really good. So Elphaba meets her idol, the wizard.
Goes in to see the wizard. At first it's the big mechanical face and with all the fire and everything.
Right, and then he comes out and he's like, sorry.
It's fucking Jeff Goldblum.
They pick a color for the brick road.
Yep, the yellow brick road.
So they got that out of the way. Jeff Goldblum does a little song and dance. Does his dance behind the curtain, by the way. And it's actually really cool to watch. And then he's like, I've got this magical book. Can you read this here spell? And she's like, okay. She reads it, and then the ape guard in the room starts sprouting wings. And she's like, what the fuck is happening?
It's terrifying.
Yeah, and it's obviously very painful for the ape as well. And like this happens, and she's like, okay, it's cool that I was able to do the spell, but this looks wrong.
This is really fucked up.
Yeah, and then she hears Oz and Morrible like, oh, these will make perfect spies for our evil plan.
So one of the reasons Jeff Goldblum was such a great choice for this character is that he plays Oz as
genial,
a con man who recognizes that he is in over his head, but is still trying to make.
He knows how to fake it until he makes it.
He's still running the con,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But she sniffs it out almost immediately, And she's like, you're the reason everyone hates animals.
You're on some fascist shit.
Yeah.
Right now.
And he's like, yeah. Yeah, we are. I'm so sorry.
He just kind of gives it up. Michelle Yeoh is still like, you should work with us. We can make everything's better for everybody.
Yeah, and Goldblum's just like, just read the fucking spell. I was like,
just read the spell. Come on.
And she's like, no, I'm gonna steal the book. Actually,
I'm gonna take the book. I'm gonna leave.
And I'm gonna fuck off. And so they Morrible declares that she's wicked and she must be apprehended.
Sends Glinda after her, try to convince her to come stay.
They go up to the attic of the fucking palace, and thus starts one of the most famous sequences in all of musical theater, where pretty much they Glinda and Alphaba know they're going their separate ways, but they realize that they're both doing what they're supposed to be doing, and so they leave with each other's blessing. And fucking Alphaba's like, you know what? If we're gonna do the magic thing, we're gonna do the magic thing.
Yeah.
And she gets her broomstick and she puts a spell on it and shit, and leans into this like, well, if you guys think I'm fucking wicked, then let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Like, look at this giant fucking cloak I have.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty cool.
It's like 4 times as long as I am.
Yeah. I like how all the apes end up getting wings, and they're like, oh, they're going to be spies, but then they just end up leaving with Glinda. They're like, fuck you guys, we're going with her. She seems way cooler. Defying Gravity, I think, was the jewel in the crown of this movie, I think.
It's the best song in the entire show.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. All the songs I love from Wicked are in the first act. Yeah. So it's like...
So like I'll see the second half,
and there are some good songs in the second half too, and the finale is really good too.
It's just that all the stuff everyone knows is in the first act.
So anyway, 10 out of 10. Really, this movie was so fucking phenomenal that I couldn't believe it. No notes. I thought it was great. Let's talk about Dune Prophecy for here for a few minutes.
Dune attempts to make a Game of Thrones.
10
is how I interpret it.
a House of the Dragon specifically.
Sure.
Except that it's not 300 or it's not 100.
10,000 years before.
And very little about the universe has changed.
Yes.
In 10,000 years, everything is the same.
We should note that 10,000 years is approximately twice the length of all of recorded human history at this point.
Yeah. I don't even think humans would look the same after, some kind of evolution would have taken place after 10,000 years.
But, yeah. I mean, it's science fantasy. It always works on ridiculous scales.
Yeah. This really examines, the spoilers, we're going to go through a couple of things. Examines closely the weird truthsayer,
the magic.
Right.
Because it's basically just magic.
It's like a coven of... Like all these unruly women want to control the universe, and so they've got their little tendrils in everywhere. And
through like telling when you're lying, and then fucking the right people and having kids.
Yes, and also advising important people.
Yeah,
because they know they can sniff out lies, and they run a little school.
I don't think they're technically the Bene Gesserit yet, but like that's where they're going.
Yeah. Well, there definitely are. I'm just not. I didn't realize that maybe they didn't. Is that the one thing that changes in 10,000 years? Is they start calling themselves the Bene Gesserit?
Maybe.
So this 10,000 years before Paul Atreides, lots of palace intrigue and shit. And we're not going to go through scene for scene. We'll probably hit on it a little bit harder on our next show.
So like the princess is getting married to a 9-year-old from another house, but she's going to spend the years until he's legal to go be a truthsayer.
Right. And she gets to skip the line and everything. Yeah. And then she has a sword master that she fucks at the end of the episode, which don't blame her because he's very hot. He's an Atreides, by the way. Oh. Yeah, the sword master is an Atreides.
Yeah, and when she and the prince go into the club, like the prince gets guided away by 2 guys that I'm pretty sure he goes to fuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like how they're like, let's go down to the sex room in the club, and he's like, okay,
like let's go to the sex club.
Yeah, so they go down to the little sex basement.
They snort some shit and smoke some shit, and then they fuck.
A child is sent to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour
in a horrifying way.
Yeah, and then another Bene Gesserit who's like somehow linked to him.
She was the truthsayer to the emperor.
Yeah.
I think.
By the way, if you've not seen the episode, none of this will make sense because we're just like doing a drive-by because we have to be done here pretty soon. Which, by the way, I think that this will probably be our last show before Thanksgiving because we're gonna have to think of it because Skeleton Crew is going to be on Tuesday.
Oh shit!
On Tuesdays, so we're
we'll figure something.
Yeah, we'll probably have to go back to Wednesdays or something. And we'll probably just skip next Saturday. But whenever we come back, we'll talk more about Dune Prophecy.
Yeah.
So check it out because it's pretty cool.
It looks just like the Dune movies. I'm on board so far.
Yeah, I like palace intrigue shit like this.
Yeah, it's definitely slower paced than the movies were.
Well, it's an HBO show too, so it's like they tend to take their time a little bit with it. So, all right, we're gonna take a break here just for a couple of minutes, but we'll be back to play some zombies. So join us then, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, all that other bullshit. We'd be happy to see you. We'll talk some more nerd shit and